agenda. Let me just make. Okay.
You want me to read?
Yes. So if you can go ahead and do that, please.
So following guidance issued by the governor regarding the open meeting law, this public meeting will be held remotely. Individuals wishing to participate may do so using Zoom video conferencing technology. And to join the meeting using a computer or a tablet, you can use the link listed on the agenda, which is listed on the Dover website. You can join by phone by calling the number, entering the meeting ID and passcode, and the meeting is being recorded.
Okay, thank you. So welcome everyone to the May 24th, 2023 Dover Conservation Meeting. We'll kick it off with our continued notice of intent, 36 Miller Hill Road, regarding a pool fence patio wall. Janet, you had reviewed that and received a good portion of the things you were looking for. Can you bring us up to date, please?
Sure. So at the last meeting, the hearing was opened. I had a number of relatively minor things to still be addressed. We received a revised plan in response to that last week. I did an additional review of the revised submittal information. There were still some outstanding issues, which I sent to all of you on Sunday evening and also to the applicant and field resources. In response to still the outstanding items, we received a revised site plan and a narrative very late this afternoon, which I have not had time to review. I would be uncomfortable approving this at this point. We just want to make sure the site plan is right, and that, you know, all the other pieces have been addressed. So our general policy that's stated on our agenda is that supplemental information has to be received a week in advance to be discussed at the upcoming meeting. So if this was just minor tweaks, I think that would be fine, but I don't even know what it is. I have not had time to even open up the email and look at the attachments. So I'd recommend that this be continued. The applicant does still need to go to planning board for, has to go to Board of Health for a pool permit. So it's not as if we're delaying their project. They still have not submitted anything to Board of Health yet for their review.
You think it would be helpful for them to briefly go over what it was they changed in their plan?
Sure.
And why don't we do that? I'm not sure who the lead person is for field resources on that. If you can unmute, please.
Sorry about that. I was trying to be quiet.
That was quiet.
Yeah. So Diane from Field Resources. Additionally, we have Paul Boyer, who is the project manager on this one, and he's done most of the drafting, and a few of the comments were on the drafting. So he thought he'd just sit in case there were additional questions for you all. So again, we're here this evening for Peter Santoro, who is the homeowner looking to put in a pool for a pool within riverfront, though over existing lawn, permitted lawn, within additionally within marked area of limit of extent from a previous project. In the last meeting, the commission had asked us to submit the field data forms that Deb Anderson had updated for us, which have been submitted. Additionally, one of the questions was in regards to the alternatives analysis. And with that, actually, why don't we go over the plan work first? Can I share the screen?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see. Just get to that. So here we have updated plan. So I'm going to work with the updated plan if that's okay with Janet, and I do apologize for the late notice. It was just you know, we got the comments on Sunday and we tried to get it in as soon as possible. So either which way, it wouldn't have been in a week in advance. So I, again, do apologize, but if I can speak to the new plan, the most updated plan, so that's the one that we're hoping would be approved. One of the comments was the way we had the proposed work labeled wasn't identifiable for Janet, even though it was labeled, it wasn't highlighted. So what we did in this particular plan is we actually brought everything in red, everything, all the structure that is proposed, we highlighted that in red. Additionally, we also added, and Jen, I'm not sure who you talked to, because I did talk to Peter, but maybe you talked to his wife, but this area in the back, you were concerned with erosion. So we added a jute netting that would be overseeded, though that area will get less surface runoff, sheeting from the current slope that's there, because the pool and the patio will reduce the slope that that currently sits in that area, or I should say, it will reduce the sheet flow that area currently accepts, because right now it goes from the existing patio straight down, where now it's just going to be a smaller area that that's sloped, because the pool and obviously the patio will be flattened and will be held up by the retaining wall. Additionally, one of the comments that Janet has was in regards to the fencing. The fencing goes around, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but goes from this side of the house, goes all the way around and closes off to a portion of the yard here that's a retaining wall that is sufficient for fencing, or to enclose, because it's more than 4 feet high. So that typically, and again, that's something that I'm sure the building inspector will also take a look at, which is actually something that's also his purview. But again, the pool company had it closed out to this it's an over 4 foot retaining wall. So that by state code does, from what we were told, is sufficient for enclosing of the pool. Then we'll go on to the next comment in regards to the erosion controls. We had your bylaw, again, I guess Janet prefers a specific type of erosion control with the orange netting, even though your erosion control bylaw does not specify. So it's something that we were unaware that there was a specific erosion control that the commission prefers. But we did update the plan to highlight that for you all, and that is up in the right corner here. So we made that modification for you on that.
And can you show on now with your mouse where the erosion control is on
Sure, on
the
the plan
plan?
itself, the erosion control goes all the
Got it.
way, yeah, all the way around and comes back up here on this side.
Mhm.
And then finally, in regards to the retaining wall on the previous plan had a slightly different configuration for the retaining wall. The Cheney's plan unfortunately did not adequately reflect a wall that would minimize the impact or the correct length for the wall. And Paul may be able to speak better to that, because he's the one who proposed the grading on that. But this proposed wall does help to reduce the impact on the resource area in regards to it reduces runoff, and it better helps the grade in the corner. And I believe it was this area, Paul, is that correct?
The original plan that Cheney had done had probably about 50 extra feet of retaining wall that was just unnecessary. It wasn't holding anything up. I don't know if it was a placeholder for potential design, and that just never got brought back. So that's why our retaining wall is culled to where it's necessary. You know, we're not trying to put any extra structure or impervious as part of this exempt activity within the riverfront.
And where is that retaining wall?
It is right along the closest edge to the river, because what happens is this slopes down from the house,
Mhm.
and so although the pool is terraced down, at some point you pick a spot and that's where the pool is, and the elevations are on there. And then at the back end or the far end, you have a retaining wall. On the inside of that, that's where the drainage catchment is to the trench along that side, and then along the left-hand side.
And where does that trench daylight?
It doesn't. It's a straight infiltration. So it essentially, in the event of a catastrophic event, it will just overtop. So
And did you have a cross section of that wall anywhere?
it is down in the bottom of the plan.
I see. Okay, so you have a little bit of a elevation there above the pool side. I'm assuming the pool side's to the right.
Yeah. Yes.
Mhm.
So it's got a slight reveal with a cap, just to create a bumper, to help keep, again, to minimize. So ultimately, in the letter you received from Janet on Sunday, you'll see the picture from downslope up towards the existing retaining wall. That new retaining wall is going to be, let's call it halfway there, right? One of the problems that area has is every drop of rain that hits that ground from that wall out runs right down that hill. So this is going to take a greater than 50% of that and make that no longer happen. Now, in addition, that's where Diane had mentioned, on the downhill side of that wall, since obviously they're going to disturb that to build the wall, it's going to, the process is, it's not a laser beam. It's put in by guys with shovels. And so then when that's reseeded, there'll be I think we got like 850 square feet of jute netted seating area to reinforce that against erosion.
And in response to Janet's notes, where she recommended a conservation mix, you're looking to maintain the lawn mix that you have there currently. Is that correct?
That is
Yes.
correct.
Okay. And any other things you want to bring to our attention?
Well, the one final thing is again, as Paul mentioned, all this activity is over existing lawn, lawfully permitted lawn. So technically, this is exempt activity.
Doesn't trigger the regulation.
Right.
Within the Rivers Act or within?
Correct.
Right, and I
Right.
can bring that up as well, and I do apologize for the dogs barking in the background.
No, I think we're familiar with the Rivers Act relative to that, and this is way, out by the edge of the 200-foot line. Is that correct?
Yeah, so again, the regulation requires that it be more than 150 feet. This is over 180 feet. So out, in the outer portion of the outer riparian, which is
And the
sufficiently-
bounds that we have there on the plan, are those existing or proposed?
Those are existing, and they're
Okay.
yes, and they're from the previous project.
Okay, anything else?
No, as Janet did mention, we do have other boards to address. So, and again, with the late notice, we do understand that it's not something that, Janet's going to need to take a minute to look at. So, we do hope that this would be sufficient for the board to at least give us the nod to move on to the next board so we can start, with those permits. Though again, Janet may have some slight modifications
Mhm.
for the next meeting. Hopefully, this would be sufficient though.
Well, let's find out. Janet, what's your take on what you see here versus what you had outlined in your notes there?
So again, I haven't, this is just a first pass, but with regard to the alternatives analysis, I was just a little confused because in your application, you check off that you did submit an alternatives analysis. And so that's why I was looking for that. There was nothing in a narrative that said, we believe we're exempt under a minor activity exemption. So I guess you've supplied that now, but I'd recommend you revise that page 3 in your NOI to uncheck that box and say no.
Okay.
And then I guess with the narrative that would explain it, but that should also go to DEP.
Okay.
And when I did talk to the homeowner, she seemed interested in the sloped area that's been eroding, replacing that with natural native vegetation, pollinator vegetation. So maybe that's something you can check with the homeowner again.
Well,
That-
we spoke with him today
Okay.
Yeah.
and yesterday, and he was like,
He was
Yeah.
unaware that you even
And
spoke to his wife.
he
So,
was less inclined to that endeavor. Otherwise, that's what we would have showed there.
yeah.
Okay.
But again, he hadn't talked to his wife and he was unaware that you were there. So I'm not saying it won't happen, just that again, this is something we were trying to get into you for the meeting. So, if they have a discussion, it's something they want to do, that area would continue, or we would either which way, the jute netting would stay, whether we plant it with a grass seed or pollinators mix. We would keep that jute netting in the project.
I also would recommend all stockpile material be outside the riverfront. It looks like you have 3 areas for stockpiling. And so if you can look at that again to see if all the stockpile material can be outside the riverfront, that would be preferable.
Right, the stockpile areas were given to us by the pool company, by Dex by Terra. I can double check with them on that. If necessary, there's an area up here.
Only
There's-
one of the 3, Diane, is touches.
Yeah, where's the one that's with I don't see the
It's
one that's
just next
oh,
to
just
the,
on the corner.
it just
the,
kind of
septic?
touches it.
Yeah.
They were thinking that they were going to need to there for some of the plumbing equipment that they're going to do.
Mhm,
Again,
mhm.
we can probably scooch that just outside.
I-
So
I-
that's, you know what I
I
mean?
would, let me just interject a little bit. I think, it's a previously disturbed area, you're 200 feet away. I think if you need that area there, I don't see and you're plus or minus 10 feet, as opposed to having to take it, because now you'd have to take it all the way over the other side of the septic field.
Mhm.
And the potential damage to a septic field if you're, running equipment there. I'm willing to see something like that in that location there. I don't think it's critical there. I think it's more theoretical, and I think in terms of implementing the project without damaging other parts of the property, if you need to have a small amount there, I don't see a problem with that.
I will
Okay.
say it's probably like 10 square feet in the riverfront.
Yeah, no, so I'm not concerned about that. Let's see, Janet, any other aspects there?
I just want to clarify, just so you don't think I'm losing my mind. The May 16th, 2023 revised plan from Field Resources. I'm looking at it right now. And the new retaining walls were not labeled proposed, which is why I called it out on my.
Mhm.
I'm looking at it and there's nothing. it was a very hard site plan to read.
Mhm.
And going forward, it would be almost impossible for someone to say, okay, I understand what they're doing, what's new and what's not. So that's why I called that out, but it clearly is not labeled, but it is on the new plan. So
Is it on this one, this plan here, you're saying?
yes, this is a much clearer plan. It's in red and it's clearly labeled what is new, but the previous plan was not.
Oh, that is very hard to see over the cross hatching there.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe there's an ability to pull that the text out of the cross hatching and throw an arrow in there. Your proposed 12-inch wide trench drain, is it stone lined or what's the detail on that?
It's a 12-inch wide, and it's 24 inches deep. It's got, I believe, again, off the top of my head, I'm gonna say that it's like 18 inches of 3/4 stone, and the top 6 inches is 1.5 stone, so that it's just so that the water goes in fast and then
Sure.
slowly.
Do you have is there a detail on the plan at all? for
Not
that?
on this plan. I believe it's on the pool company's plan. That's,
Okay.
but I don't think that's here. I mean, we can
Okay.
transfer that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that would be helpful whenever we see drainage on that.
So if, Diane, if you could drop off 2 copies of the site plan and also the revised narrative that you submitted to the office,
Mm-hmm.
that would be great. Then we can go from there.
Okay, so
Okay.
I would agree with Janet that we're just shy of completion here
Sure.
to vote on this. So, but we should be able to handle it pretty quickly at the next meeting.
Sure. So I just want to make sure I'm on the same page. So I'll address the alternatives on the application, the DEP.
Mhm.
The stockpile area, you're saying we're all set at this point. The text hatching, we will adjust and we'll put a detail on the drainage.
Mhm.
On this plan, though, again, or maybe we'll just supply you with the plan from the pool company.
Either
whichever
whether
you
it's
prefer.
we need to have something that we can refer to multi-years down the future.
Yeah.
When somebody comes back and says, oh, we forgot to do our COC.
Say you don't
know,
so.
yeah. So please, and it would be preferable if you can just move it onto the plan here,
Okay, on the plan, sure.
because we're not, the pool company's not in front of us.
Sure. Okay,
Okay.
all right. Well, again, we appreciate your time and we will update that information and get it to Lori and Janet. And we will hopefully close out in the next meeting, but we will move on to the additional boards that we need to hit for permitting on this project.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much. And if you can just send a letter to email to Lori asking for a continuance.
Mm-hmm.
And Lori, I don't know if well, I'm sure we can squeeze this in. I know the next meeting is going to be pretty packed, but this shouldn't take up that much time.
June 14th.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Have a pleasant evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay. Term reappointments. Nobody asked me. Oh, you can unmute Tim. Oh no, you're still muted, Tim. There we go.
That's what I said. Nobody asked me either.
I
But-
know.
Well, you both went away, so I put it on the agenda.
I see. Right. Yeah. Should have voted before we got back. So, yes.
Sure.
And
How long have you guys been on the board
Forever.
or commissioner? Okay.
Tim, what is it?
Since
1990?
90, I think it's 30 years for me.
Yeah. I think might be 16 for me. I'm not sure. Somewhere around there.
Wow, okay.
Oh no.
Well, you guys are great. We love your institutional knowledge and
Right,
Uh,
and then soon we'll start to forget that institutional knowledge. So,
What do you mean start?
what's institutional knowledge? Do you need Laura, do you need a vote for that, or you just?
That
we
would
agree?
be good. And I have, for John, I have September 2005 as a start date, and for Tim, I have July of 94. So I don't know.
Okay,
Those sound right to you guys?
close
Yeah,
enough.
I don't remember. I was an
An
associate for a long time, because when I first joined the board, Ralph McAllister was gonna retire from the board, and then he changed his mind a couple of times.
So when I first came to town, Tim, when I was like crossing the stream and so forth, were you on the board
Mhm.
then?
Oh, yeah.
So there you go. And I was
So-
what? I was 22, and
Yeah.
And Tim was 32.
That's right.
right. So, okay, well then that was done in quick order. Let's
Well,
see.
now we have to, I think we have to
Yeah.
vote
Oh, I'm
on
A
it.
sorry.
motion
So
would be good.
I would like to
Okay.
make a motion to approve of John Sullivan for another 3-year term to 2026, and Tim Hollander to another 3-year term for him as well to 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
No, because so there's the 4, because I didn't know if we can vote for ourselves. Yeah. Okay, so it passes.
Thank you both
see.
very much.
Next is so Janet's contract expires June 30th. Not that that historically has made much of a difference in this town, but we're trying to be better. I mean, we actually have a contract, in the past we hadn't. Janet had sent some stuff out. She's looking to continue under the same terms. And she also sent information out that we have the ability to go ahead and approve that contract without anyone else. I think even though we may, I think it's prudent for us to just run it by town manager, which I plan to do between now and the next meeting. And then we can, my feeling is we can vote for in the next meeting. We have plenty of time to do that. Janet, do you have anything else to add to that? It looks pretty cut and dry.
Yep, I think it is very cut and dry. Yep, my current contract allows for an annual extension. And it does stipulate by agreement. Well, you all got a copy, but it says by agreement between the commission and the contractor. So that's
Yeah, and I don't, unless anyone has anything they want to bring up, I don't expect any dissenting comments, but you feel
No.
free to. So I just want to make sure I think it's just astute for us to bring the town manager into, let them know what we're doing, since this is really the first time we're extending a contract. And I think we have prepared them enough to know that we have the ability to do this. So, and so with that, I'll make sure to communicate with him, and we'll be ready for at the next meeting to vote on that.
John,
Yes.
just a heads up, the selectmen voted last night to appoint a new town administrator.
Oh,
And
to start when?
I don't know, they were gonna negotiate the contract like in the next week, so just a heads up on that. I mean, I think Carl Valente is still officially the interim, but I don't know when that change is gonna happen, but just so you know.
Okay, no, that's good to know. I think with Carl, it's just, again, there's some, speaking of institutional memory and things like that. I think, and he plays well with others. I'll bring it to his attention. I don't expect he'll have that new person on board within that time frame. But thank you. I think that's very helpful to know. Then the next thing we have is, I don't know if anyone had a chance to see Janet's expense for April. But everything seemed typical there.
Yeah, it
Uh,
seems fine to me.
Okay, so we're basically in this, we are voting because we're voting to pay this beyond her contract amount due to the workload, as we did for the previous month. So I'll entertain a motion to go ahead and, oh, Lori, do you have the exact amount there? Or maybe
It's,
Janet does?
I have it, it's $6,438.75.
Oh, I like that trend. Okay, I'll entertain a motion for to
Sure.
approve that pay period.
Move to approve the payment of $6,438.75
$38.75.
for the month of April, extraordinary expenses for Janet's contract.
Second,
Thank you. All in favor? Christie,
Aye.
Anna,
Aye.
Sarah,
aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay, great. Let's see, correspondence with Acronym City. Can you fill us in on what this, I don't know, is this, I'm assuming this is Janet?
John, can I just make a suggestion? We have a couple guests on to discuss the Miller
Oh,
Hill order. And I'm wondering if
okay.
you'd
Yeah,
entertain.
thank you. No, I saw them come up there. Okay, so I was in the process of reviewing last May 10th meeting, seeing how things went on that. And I did not see it on this agenda except for under agents reports. Can somebody bring me up? I saw everything there. What is tonight's discussion concerning?
So at the last meeting, we had sent out a notice of violation to the 3 homeowners, 12 Miller Hill, 14 Miller Hill, and 36 Farm Street, because the tree clearing occurred on those 3 properties within a buffer zone. We asked those property owners to attend the May 10th meeting. The 12 Miller Hill property owner was represented by an attorney. The 14 Miller Hill Road property owner attended, and then there were a number of representatives, including Ken Soderholm, who were representing the Rollins. It was a fairly brief discussion. I had outlined the facts that as we knew them. There seemed to be general agreement on the facts. And then the attorney, Peter Brooks, for the 12 Miller Hill property owner, Francois Millette, stated that his client accepted full responsibility for all tree clearing on all properties. At that point, there was a discussion of then the next steps, which was going to be my drafting an enforcement order for the commission's review at the next meeting. So that's where we are now.
Okay, and I reviewed the enforcement order. Did that go out to other parties, Miller Hill parties or no? Okay, and I saw a interplay of emails today from Ken and Mr. McGregor and the like, and there seemed to be a concern there about the enforcement order parties, and given the stated culpability of Mr. was it Millette? What was, I can't remember, number 12's attorney. Well, attorney Peter Brooks there. So I think the original notices went out to all 3 parties, even though we had a guess that this had been done by one party. My concern on this is that we have nothing in writing relative to somebody stepping up to take responsibility for all this. And that's part of the reason we were waiting on this, because we knew there was communication going on between 12 and 36 Farm Street. Ken, can you unmute and give us a brief idea of your concerns there in terms of the enforcement order? There we go.
Sorry, I was sort of multitasking here, so I missed the first part.
Oh, okay. So I saw your concerns in your email. Normally, just as we did with our notice, the enforcement orders sort of stay with the landowners on a situation like that, like this, even though in your particular case, you weren't even aware that it happened because of the size of the lot, and it's I'm not clear on the owner at number 14 where what his experience was on this. So my original sense was that we would still send out an enforcement order to the 3 parties. And I'm open to discussion on that relative to your concerns, because we have something on record saying that number 12 is basically owning up to having done this, but we don't have anything in writing, and I'm not sure whether attorneys will allow that relative to whatever the discussion has been between your client and Unit 12. Obviously, we would, with the verbal culpability, we would be looking to them to do the items that are outlined in the enforcement order, and would not be looking to you unless everything fell apart. But I saw your concerns on that, so I wanted to let you know that's normally the way we would handle something like this.
Yeah, I mean, speaking for myself, probably not for the attorneys, but we would defer to you folks on that. I mean, we just see it as a 3-party issue here between our clients, the Conservation Commission's concerns, and the trustees' concerns. I guess if there wasn't an issue with the wetlands and buffer zone, and if there wasn't a conservation restriction on the property, it would just simply be an issue between the 2 property owners to
Right.
resolve. But given that there's 3 parties involved, I think it's a much bigger issue here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a big issue. We see it as a big issue no matter what, but
It appeared when I reviewed the last meeting's video, at least the attorneys currently seem to have been communicating and trying to work this out smoothly, which bodes well, but doesn't necessarily bode permanently. Could somebody fill me in a little bit in terms of how smoothly that seems to be working, or the concern here is whether the whole idea of the enforcement order is that somebody actually is going to step up and take care of this.
I really can't speak to that because we haven't really had enough feedback back from the people at 12.
Okay.
I know there's been
So-
conversations between the attorneys, but there hasn't been a lot of response back so
Okay.
far.
So that somebody else is going to speak? No, I guess not. So that's my sense is for the time being that we would issue the enforcement order against all parties, which may actually give your party a little bit more leverage because you normally, you were involved in this destruction. Janet, do you have anything to add to that point of view?
So I did touch base with the DEP wetlands enforcement folks. And their recommendation was that if someone has verbally or in writing accepted responsibility, that they would be the subject of the enforcement order. And that I did explain to them the scenario we have in front of us. And that was their recommendation. And that's also consistent with the DEP enforcement manual.
That's actually addressed in the enforcement manual?
Yes, if you have identified the responsible party, it doesn't say property owner, but if there's a responsible party who's been identified, they would be the subject of the enforcement order. You know, this
Okay.
is more complicated because they are now going to have to do some wetland boundary delineation and an inventory on someone's property, someone else's property.
Mhm.
But I think I addressed that in the enforcement order, that the burden is on the 12 Miller Hill folks to get permission to do that on the other two properties.
Okay, and my concern there is that I saw the verbal. I would feel more comfortable with something in writing and owning up to that. And I wonder if we would look at this as the enforcement orders to 36 Farm would outline that it, it has come to our attention that this was done by the owner of number 12. What I couldn't get from the previous meeting was whether 14 had worked with 12 in terms of clearing the back of their lot, or if that was a complete surprise to them as well. Do you know, have you communicated with the owner of 14, Janet, regarding that?
So my notes, he did attend the meeting. I can't pronounce his full name. It's a long name.
Mhm.
But his notes, Vincent, he said that this was all new information to him. And that he was not involved in any of the tree removal work, but that he's willing to do whatever is needed to correct the situation.
Okay. So that the general sense was that we have a verbal representation by council that 12 was the sole party involved in this. Is that
That's correct.
okay? So I still feel I think the concept of having a primary and then some secondary EOs may be the best way to handle this until we get something culpability in writing from 12. And as I said, relative to the other parties, this may give them any additional, may give them some additional leverage if things were to fall apart there. So everything looks, I mean, it looks promising, but I've seen things turn not promising before.
And John, I would point out that we have quite a number of witnesses.
We do. There's still a little bit of wiggle room there. But Amy, did you gonna say something? Or?
Well, it would be kind of difficult for 14 not to know that it was going on since it was contiguous to his lawn, but he may not have initiated the cutting, but he certainly didn't stop it.
And Sally, you look.
Yeah, I don't know how I got this idea, but somehow my understanding was that Millette hired the contractor to do the cutting, which, happened on the Rollins property, but it also happened on Millette's property. And then that the neighbor at 14 said, "Hey, who's your guy that's cutting the trees? I like him cut some of my trees too." So I'm not so sure, because what benefit of cutting the trees on 14, how did that benefit 12? I think there was two clients of the same contractor.
Well, and that's my concern, since we didn't have 14 come up and say, "Oh yeah, I participated," but we don't know, and that's my concern. And so I don't want us to judge that until it's judged among the parties, even if it's voluntarily. And so I think this covers our bases, and maybe what we do, since we don't know about 14, we can just have for 36 Miller. It is much more believable that the homeowner was not aware of that TTOR was not aware of that. But and also we're on the record now of saying, and that you brought it to our attention, that we're not looking at 36 Miller as 36 Farm as being the primary culprit here. But I think it covers all our bases if we just issue an EO to all parties involved. And it's still between the three parties to figure out, you know, to come to their agreement of who's going to do what. And we will be, because of that verbal, that we will be focusing on number 12, and unless something changes. And anyone have anything to add to that?
Yes, I do. Gregor McGregor.
And you, I wasn't at the last meeting. If you identify, I'm not sure your involvement here.
I'm happy to identify myself. I was at the last meeting. I'm Gregor McGregor. I represent Rollins's and the Soto Homes.
Okay.
I was present when the lawyer for the perpetrators acknowledged that his client did the cutting. We discussed why he did the cutting. No question that he acknowledged that he is responsible for the cutting, and he takes responsibility to do a proper restoration. At the last meeting, the lawyer, said that to you. So you have on the record that his client has taken responsibility and expects to do a restoration satisfying you and the other parties. That's on the record.
And did your client get written communication concerning that?
Yes, we've had, you can assume that we and the trustees through lawyers have had communications with him, and that everybody is proceeding as if his client acknowledges it. There is no dispute. Furthermore, your commission indicated it was heading toward an enforcement order that would essentially codify or memorialize the requirements you want done. As delineation of the wetland line and its buffer, and properties that's on, and the like, all within your jurisdiction. So we're expecting tonight that you will issue an enforcement order against the perpetrators. If you want to visit next door and learn who cut the trees on the next door property, you will find, as the lawyer told me personally when I did my on-site with him, that the neighbor hired the same cutter. Because thought it would be a good idea to cut trees on his property, and you all can decide as commissioners whether down the hill on the other side of the wall, all the way down to the wetland at the bottom of his lot. However, perhaps you're going to wait another meeting before issuing an enforcement order to him until you ascertain that and get some pictures, maybe a map like we have of our property, which has 150 stumps cut on it. Addressing briefly your thought that, gee, why don't we just round this out with an enforcement order against my clients? I strongly object to that. And I would like that in the record. You have a situation here where there's a trespasser and a tree cutter. And if that happened on town land, you would not name the town in an enforcement order. If it happened on any town land, you would assert the rights of the town as a victim, not as a responsible party. But a legal note on it. This is just a legal note. If you issue an enforcement order against my client will have to sue you under certiorari in court, or that order will be deemed consented to. An enforcement
Explain certiorari to me, please.
Yes, review of your orders and review of your bylaw decisions is in Superior Court in the nature of certiorari, which is just a Latin term meaning on the certified record. That is the legal review of the propriety of your actions taken after an adjudicatory matter, like your board votes on a permit, a license, a revocation, an extension.
So I just had a question though, because I've seen things fall apart before. For us, our concern is that things get replanted. If in the course of things fall apart between you and number 12, that still leaves us in a bind that is subject to the legal arguments you'll have against number 12, but we're still not getting anything done. That could go on for years. And we would be basically giving up our leverage to get things replanted on your property. Understanding very well that you may not have been the ones who cut that, but we don't have anything in writing from number 12 saying that they did that. What we're hearing is from you, we're hearing from 12, but we have nothing there. 5 years down, you guys are still suing each other and we don't have any trees
We're not
planted.
toward a settlement. If you would like something to in binding that you can count on, you can join a contract settlement.
Mhm.
If you want to do more than just watch the restoration up the hill where you don't have any jurisdiction, you can join the settlement and get rights under the contract
Yeah,
relative to.
I'm not sure that we're interested in doing that. It's
No,
just that
but
our
you have-
concern is to make sure that we have the ability to try to enforce this regardless of what your legal situation may turn out to be. And it's just a notice to you. And what we're telling you is that if things are moving smoothly, we don't expect to have any sort of enforcement for you. But it's,
We'll have to sue just to protect our rights. Our rights go away in 60 days.
mhm.
For that matter,
And
You
our
know-
rights are
know that-
what then?
you know that you have a right within your jurisdiction to issue a violation notice, enforcement order, or ask people, will you consent to do this, that, and the other thing? If you want something agreed to by my client, we will sign in writing.
Mhm.
However, we will not consent to an enforcement order against us, which first, enforcement order is an allegation only.
Mhm.
It's a thing, but it's not final till you see if they sue in court to challenge it. And after
Mhm.
60, they cannot.
Mhm.
It's in Massachusetts law, an order from DEP or a Board of Health or you is deemed consented to if not appealed to court.
Mhm.
Hence, my client, if you blame them
Mhm.
for wrongdoing, will be forced to
Mhm.
sue your town for
Mhm.
your. Now we can hold that lawsuit in abeyance.
Mhm.
We can agree to continue it, if you will.
Mhm.
But I will tell you that it will not foster much cooperation. It'll do the opposite. I think that you should.
I'm just looking, we're basically figuring out we're in vehement agreement on many things here. And we're looking at a way to protect everyone's interest. Is there a memo of understanding outside of an enforcement order that might be able to be drawn up that may include a signature from number 12 as well?
You carry MasterCard, you carry clout. You may issue an enforcement order against any person who dredged, filled, removed, or altered a resource area,
Mhm.
period, or altered the buffer zone in such a way that risks the resource area nearby,
Mhm.
period. Your protection of everything in your jurisdiction is to issue an enforcement order in the model recommended by MACC and by DEP and include information submittals, acknowledgement of responsibility, signed contract with restoration, monitor for restoration. You get clout to micromanage a restoration of the wetlands after proper delineation and assessment of significance and whether you want them replaced in kind or improved. You get to have your way within the buffer zone once it's delineated. Now, a long, long time has gone by since this came to the commission's attention. And it is very much time for you to issue an enforcement order against someone with whom you have probable cause to believe they dredged, filled, removed, or altered, meaning killed the vegetation in the definition of alter, of a resource area. Incidentally, we have an interest we are very appreciative of the restoration of the whole hillside, including the wetlands at the bottom, that of course are part of a seamless ecosystem. If you look at it holistically, we'd be happy to see if the same cutter cut wetland plants and buffer zone plants down at the bottom of that side. I'm addressing only your statement that you thought it would foster goodness for everybody if you issued a panoply of enforcement orders all around, including the innocent landowners.
So you're saying that you feel very comfortable with the communication you've had with number 12, that they've expressed culpability to you. Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
And
Okay,
trustees
that's basic. But
also.
my whole main concern here was basically that I had nothing in writing and I was looking out for basically your interest there, to make sure that that it would give you any additional leverage, because you could turn to them and say, look, now we have something on our property because of your action. You need to step up and do this sooner rather than later. So that
Not looking for that help, it would be a monkey wrench.
Mhm.
We are heading toward a amicable
Mhm.
settlement
Okay.
well before the deadline for us to sue them for
Mhm.
this illegal tree cutting. We are looking forward to a emails or letters of intent and cooperative arrangement with all around, and maybe them visiting and corroborating the LEC line and see if the Conservation Commission agrees with that, which would speed up delineation and assessment.
Mhm.
Sooner rather than later, we're trying to push the perpetrators to get their botanists and to get other wetland scientists and to get their tree appraiser or real estate appraiser if they want out to the property. And just this week, I wrote a blanket approval with minor conditions of full access for their team ASAP.
Okay, great.
And we've communicated with the agent, your wonderful agent, to see if it's possible that LEC line, although done outside the season, you require, if it were a determination of applicability or an ORAD, if it's right, to see if it's possible for the botanists, for the perpetrators to essentially agree to that's the line. That certainly would simplify where the buffer zone is. Get cracking here. We already have a proposal for a $750,000 restoration of the hillside, not the wetland part, not the whole wetland.
Is that just your hillside, or is that for
Our hillside, including the buffer zone on our hillside? We have it. We're ready to go. And one thing we've done with the perpetrators is say, why don't you just agree to fund that? You don't have to feel. You might think it's expensive. Let's talk. But we know what we want for a state of the art, and we've hired the leading firm to do it, Wilkinson. And if we hope to settle in some way that they provide the money for it, or even sign the contract with Wilkinson.
So I'm just curious, and this is just a small aside, but pertinent to this, would that be looking to replant larger sized trees? I know that's something that Wilkinson is known for.
Yes.
And up to,
as you know, if they're too large, they're not as hardy and as prone to survive. So it's balancing or judgment call by the team as to what is the source, because different sources are hardier than we don't want necessarily nursery shrubs, and what the mix is and the like. We're looking for tree layer, shrub layer, herb layer, soil, which have been ruined, and the critters and the organisms in the soils. And our measurement will be by biodiversity. We'll be seeking to measure the quality of the proposed restoration by restoration of the biodiversity of the forest. We'll see if that comes about, but we have a proposal from Wilkinson for that.
Good. Would at some point, as this moves forward, hopefully quickly, would you be willing to share that with the Conservation Commission?
Sure, be glad to share it yesterday.
Okay, I think that would be helpful. I appreciate it, because that's
John, Janet has something.
What's that?
Janet has something.
Okay. But yeah, I think that because we're looking exactly at the same sort of multi-level restoration in terms of shrubs, trees, and the like. Janet?
Good.
So I think this has been a really productive conversation, and I think all parties involved have to continue this. But as I outlined in my draft enforcement order, I do think the time is right to bring in town council due to the complexity and the scope of this. I have never seen such alteration as what we are dealing with here. And so I think the enforcement order is our tool to move towards corrective action, but we need to make sure that that is absolutely solid. So
Mhm.
my next recommendation would be to consult with town council, and then also ask what other parties should be involved in further clarifying the terms of the enforcement order. Maybe we
Mhm.
have our parties back in, we have Mr. Brooks back in, and we have another line of questioning, perhaps. Maybe town council would then participate with us in some
Well,
kind of.
I agree that I think time is of the essence at this point. I think we certainly will want to run this by town council, as we has done before. We have a bunch of uh, um, more concise information on what has happened. I think the involvement of Unit 14 seems to be, from what we're hearing, seems like it would be pertinent to have its own enforcement order. And interesting, one of the things that was brought up by Ken, and I assume had been discussed with Mr. McGregor, was the concept of I don't normally we do enforcement orders on the land, but this concept of pulling in the contractor is novel to us. And Ken, I know you've had experience, you know, as conservation chair and things of that sort. Have you ever, do you recall in historically, had you ever done that?
Not in my experience. Obviously, that was in Natick, and we didn't have anything to this extent.
Mhm.
I can think most of our enforcement orders were people dumping brush on conservation land, to be honest.
I can speak to it.
Yeah, go ahead.
MACC teaches in its enforcement modules and in writing in the enforcement manual parts of the handbook. And it's also in the DEP enforcement manual from 20 plus years ago that's been updated, that Concom should think about multiple responsible parties. Since a person who dredges, builds, removes, or alters, that's the wording in the statute, without the permit is legally a wrongdoer. The commission always should consider who the contractor and its subcontractors are as responsible. And by the way, you want leverage. You want remedies quick. You want someone with insurance to step up. That's the ticket. So
do we know who this contractor was?
No, that's because the Mr. Brooks will not divulge his name at the present time. But 14 may be happy to say who it was. They hired the same person.
Yeah, with the potential leverage that gives them as well. But okay, well then, so my feeling on this is that we would like to get this these out sooner rather than later. I appreciate your input there. I think it's clear. We did see the verbal from the attorney there relative to his client's culpability, and it doesn't. We'll run it by town council and make sure that we don't close off any avenues on our end as well, and understand your concerns, and we also basically don't want to screw it up relative to our end, as well as the repair moving forward quicker rather than later.
So John, I would suggest that we send the enforcement order to 12 right away, and we can always reserve the right to send another one.
Well, I want to find out just what our statutory limits are, if we lose any, you know, by not sending it out in a certain time frame, if we lose any rights there. But I think we'll run it by council. I think we have 3 different stages of culpability here, as far as we know, but we don't know. There's certain things we don't know, but 14 does not appear to be blameless here. Really, the only people that we're getting feedback that appear to be blameless is Farm Street from multiple sources. And do you, Mr. McGregor, do you have anything any admission from 12 in writing at all?
In emails.
Okay,
And you have
Um,
it electronically as well in the recording of the meeting, last meeting. That's as good as
Yeah.
in,
well, and that's
That's-
what I want to check by, just run it by town council to make sure that that gives us the
Sure.
same heft as having something in writing,
Heft.
and it may. It
Yes.
may indeed.
by the way, most commissions get their probable cause by viewing, interviewing, getting secondary witnesses statements and the like, or common sense.
Or what,
and-
you
and
blanked
remember-
out there.
Enforcement order is an accusation, not a court determination. It
Mhm.
remains to be seen if the applicant shows up, like I'm sure paragraph 1 will say they should do, and submit to a site visit, which I'm sure paragraph 2 will say they should do, and what they say. And MACC recommends that the paragraph say, we want you to acknowledge receipt of this order within 48 hours. I'd like to have you acknowledge within 5 days that you will do the work ordered. So you have a short leash on the most responsible party for the wrongdoing. Especially if someone says, all right, I'll take care of it, don't worry. MACC teaches, confirm that in writing. That is, you write them confirming what they assured you, in a letter.
So, well, thank you for the input there. Then I think as Janet said, this has been really instructive, and we can now move forward on getting this in play. So thank you for well, clearly you
You're
have an interest regardless, but we will move forward, run it by town council, and get this out.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Janet, is there anything else that you wanted to bring up? Is there anyone else? Christina Gannon, is that anything in
Yes,
front of us?
hello.
Hi.
Hi, I'll start my video. I am here on behalf of Jeremy Paradise on 3 Sterling Drive. He was unavailable. I'm his business partner, and he asked if I could please join and just give an update because it was one of the agenda items you had.
Okay, then I think as a courtesy, I'm not sure. Was that under your review, your report, Janet?
Yes, the commission had talked, I think a letter went out. They are behind on their restoration plan monitoring reports. And a letter had gone out to that effect and asking for them to come to tonight's meeting to provide an update and a schedule. And that
Great. Well, why don't we listen to Christina, and that way she doesn't have to hang around for too long.
Sure.
So why don't you fill us in, please?
Yeah, so everything should be done. The plants, the shrubs, everything from the plan has been planted. We would like to take that orange fencing down, or Jeremy would like to take the orange fencing down around the stream. So if a site inspection is needed, Janet, I don't know if you want to organize something or however that works with your commission. But everything is complete with the exception of the farmer's porch. We've been trying to get a few estimates from some contractors, and we can move forward there once we have that estimate that Jeremy will approve. But other than that, all the vegetation, all the, the work, the driveway work is complete. The patio in the back that was that came up to the driveway, and all the shrubs and the trees were all replaced and planted as per the plans.
And when were they planted?
In the fall, I want to say everything was complete October, November, but then we also wanted to wait until the spring to make sure everything took. And if anything had to be replaced, we did have, he has somebody come out and is seeded the lawn, is taking care of the lawn and all of that. I was out there, I'm in New York right now, but I was out in Dover at the Sterling property last week. And it looks like the grass is all coming in very well. So that should be taken care of as well.
And Janet, where's the construction fencing on this? Is it down by the stream or is it closer to the house?
It's, the stream runs from behind the house all the way to the street, so there's a lot of erosion
Right.
control and the silt fence, and that should not come out until a certificate of compliance is issued. So
Well, I'm not, I'm thinking, so there's silt fence and there's a silt sock, but also orange construction fencing. My concern is with contractors still coming in for the porch, we don't want them stumbling off into places like that. And
Okay.
it would seem more prudent to remove that after construction is completed. Janet, that's the first I've heard about COC issuance relative to fencing.
yeah, that's in our order of conditions, that it can't be removed until the COC is issued. Yeah, that's,
And is that construction fencing or is that as well, or is that just siltation, erosion control?
I think it's considered all part of the erosion control measures.
Mhm.
Okay.
So, and do you have, Christina, do you have anyone doing plans for you, or, normally we get these updates from an engineer or survey group or something like that. Do you have anybody
I
still
will,
involved?
yeah, I'll check with, we were using a property manager before, and, with the project being on hold while we were getting estimates, she moved on to something else, but I will check with her and I will get the name of the person that she had.
Okay, and have you submitted any of these updates in writing yourself yet? I know you're filling
I
this
have
in
not.
tonight.
No.
And
So
Janet,
yeah,
you normally,
I was gonna say, just so that you're aware, this is about reporting.
Uh-huh.
And we haven't received those reports. This would be much simplified if somebody would just write the report and send it.
Absolutely.
and until this is completed, we normally get those reports on a monthly basis.
Okay.
And even if it's a report that says we're waiting for contractors, it's still something that gives us a history there. And then on a quarterly basis, we get an update on the planting and how well the planting is doing.
Okay.
And that is, Jen, that goes for how many, does that go for 2 years or?
it's for 2 years. So just to clarify, so we're talking about two different reporting requirements.
Mhm.
The first is the monthly progress report, and we've gotten those very sporadically on this project.
And
but
who'd you
this-
get them from?
I can't remember who they come from.
Okay.
Linda, maybe. I feel like Linda was the name, but I could be mistaken. So that's why I'll check with our property manager.
And then while you're here tonight is, as part of the buffer zone restoration planting, the order of condition outlined very specifically the type of monitoring report we require, and it needs to be done by a wetland professional. And Joyce Hastings, I believe, is who the owner has hired to do this. And she's aware of this, but we have not gotten any of the reports. So we really need those reports submitted. So that's what we're looking for. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
I will
Joyce-
absolutely reach out to Joyce first thing tomorrow.
And Joyce has the expertise to give us something that that fills us in on the shape of the plants and things of that sort, so that as opposed to a layperson saying it looks okay.
Okay.
And so thank you for doing that. Jen, is there anything else for Christina?
I
No,
have plenty of notes. I have plenty of notes. I'll reach out to Joyce first. Jeremy is traveling, but once I get a hold of him, I'll let him know the update. It's just, I apologize for crashing your town meeting, but he didn't want, your notice to go.
No, it's great to hear from you because we haven't heard frequently, and so we were getting a little perturbed. So,
Understood.
So thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you for your time, everybody. I'll get right on this.
Okay.
Christina, before you drop off, I'd recommend that we have a deadline for submittal of those, and I'd recommend 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
we have been waiting for quite a while after giving notice for quite a while. So
Okay,
I think that's reasonable if the commission thinks it is.
okay.
Okay,
I will get
Great.
right on it. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Let's see. Okay, let's move back to the correspondence with MDAR, Eversource, and so forth.
So this is something that came in late last week. Eversource does an annual herbicide application in a right of way. They are exempt from filing for a permit from us, but they do have to give us notice under state law, other laws, including the Wetlands Protection Act. So I looked at this quickly. I don't know if everyone else looked at it, but we have the opportunity to comment back to them if we're concerned about the application route and its potential to impact a sensitive environmental area. I did note on the route over towards Walpole, it appears that they are spraying through 2 certified vernal pools. So I would recommend that we send a letter and I can draft that. I'd like a little more time to look more closely at it, but it's also close to a number of private wells. And water quality is out, public water supply quality is outside our jurisdiction, but I hope someone else is looking at that. They really shouldn't be spraying herbicide, directly in the path of a number of drinking wells.
And is it with it, when you say within the path, is it within a couple 100 feet, 400 feet? What's the?
Yeah, so their scale was, it was an impossible site plan to see exactly, but it does give us an opportunity to reply. So what I'd suggest is I'll draft something. And then the deadline is the end of June. So maybe at the next meeting, I'll draft something for the commission to look at for the next meeting. How does that sound?
I think that sounds great.
Sounds
So
good.
is this the power line, what I call the power lines that goes almost like down North Street all the way? Like where Bubbling Brook is down that way?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
It goes through the entire town. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to ride that all the time. So I'm thinking there's definitely wetlands. If you go, I used to ride it, let's say from Moreland Farm and then cross over to where Adams Farm is. But I never saw any vernal pools, but that doesn't mean that there aren't any, anyway.
It would seem to me, I appreciate the diligence of seeing the wells that might be there.
Yeah,
And that once we do this, we come up with this response to them, Janet. I think it would be helpful to CC Board of Health with just a quick paragraph saying, we just wanted to bring this to your attention relative to the wells.
Yeah.
And that way, that is within their purview, and we can make sure they can review that.
I'll touch base with the agent to make sure he got the same notice. I'm sure he did. So, but I'll.
They mean, depends on how they looked at it. So I think that would just be helpful. Okay. Let's see. So we're supposed to talk about Jim McLaughlin. Is that what?
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking about that. I was like, what? Are we upgrading him to his whatever chief of the Charles River?
Oh, right. So we should come up with something some very heavy responsibility since he's not here. But so we'll pass on with Jim. Jim was going to tell us about I guess some of the tree and vegetation cutting, or what was this?
Yeah, I think so. So we got 2 quotes for Larrabee, and then he had some other ones, which I think Janet is familiar with too.
So I saw there was,
Roy sent
it looked
us an
like
email.
we had some for tree work. And then Janet, if I read that right, it looked like the town would be stepping in to take care of the trees. Is that?
That's right. So I think it's a total of four trees over off of Maine. They're not big trees, but either dead or really dying. And Kevin McCabe, the DPW director, said they could take care of those in-house. Also, there are 2 culverts leading from the street into the conservation land that they're going to put some riprap in, that those were doing some scouring. And then the 46 Springdale tree is a huge pine tree. The town contracts out with Stumpies. I found out the town has an $80,000 annual budget to do tree work, which doesn't go a long way if you've got a couple big trees like this one. But DPW agreed to take care of that tree at no cost to the Conservation Commission.
So is that in the front, is that right on Springdale Road? Like, is that in front of the, okay. Okay.
And
Yeah, I
is it-
think
is-
we identified it as being in trouble when we acquired the property. So we were
And is
just
it te-
waiting
is
for
it-
it to get so bad that it needed to come down, but
And
I
is it
think
technically within the right of way? Does anybody know?
probably.
That's what I was
Yeah.
about to ask. I was
Yeah,
wondering.
so that gives the town the justification to go in there and.
Yeah,
do that,
yeah,
which is great.
it was, if it's not, then it's within inches of it.
Okay.
That's excellent.
So the reason that I had him quote out the Larrabee stuff was I want to make sure if we had extra budget in our, that we maybe took care of Larrabee, because the trustees, so I found out a little bit more about what the Larrabee Whiting estate is, and it's essentially a bank account and the land for the benefit of the poor of the people of
Oh,
Dover.
right, yeah, I saw that.
Right,
Yeah.
and isn't Mary Crane one of the trustees?
Yeah, she is. So I've gone back
Right.
and forth, and she's happy to have us do the work, but I don't know if they can use any of their, I'm guessing they can't use any of their $70,000 bank account for work on their own on the land. But anyway, these fields, I don't know how, maybe it's since the Blake property came into play. The fields up there, it used to be mowed by Sarah Molino and Don Law, and they haven't mowed it in enough years that John didn't see them, but I took some pictures. The entire field is, with the exception of maybe, I don't know, a 50-foot circle by the entrance, is above shoulder height in roses. And so if we don't get after it, it's going to be impossible to get after it. Anyway, so he got quotes from and maybe
Another guy, I saw Lori sent us an email. It was like Don,
there's one is the first one that she sent was the guy who did the work down on Dedham Street for us, and the second one was a lot cheaper, or 2/3 the price, and he's the guy who has done the work on the Blake property for DLCT, and we got his name from Stephen Bates.
Yeah,
And
Stephen Bates.
Stephen has since then also mowed that 50-foot circle by the front of that's still not roses, and then along the pathway into where it connects with Hale and Noannet, so that I can park people and do my walk on June 10th.
And
for
what
the
was the
open
price?
space
What was
committee.
what was the lower price? How much was that?
I think it was like 2,500, or am I making that
No,
up?
it was like that per day, and
Yeah,
he
exactly,
figured it
per
was
day.
going to be 2 days.
And is it a brush hog or what? Or do we
He's
know?
going to
what it's-
brush hog, yeah.
Okay. And does he remove any of that or?
well, when you brush hog it,
Basically mulches.
mulches it. Dave Dodsworth.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's exactly what I saw. So it's like,
Mhm. Now, so technically, we don't own this property, is that right? This is
Um,
held in trust by the Larrabee Trust, or,
yeah, but we have permission from, at least from Mary to do it. So Dave Dodsworth, the reason I'm bringing this up this time is because I'm gonna miss the next meeting because
but so
Mhm.
did Mary give you this sense that if we get it done, that the trust will pay for it, or does she expect us to pay for it?
I think she expects, well, it's all the same thing because it's the town. But yeah, I mean, maybe we can figure out how to get them to pay for it, but they can't get out of their own way, it seems. So I'm not I was just trying to use up our budget if we had excess budget before the
Mhm.
30th of June.
Mhm.
Right,
So
no,
it's
I mean, I think,
2750, and he estimate it's gonna be 2 days, and it's
Mhm.
brush tree mowing day rate.
Mhm. And the
Uh,
day rate, I'm sorry, how much was the day rate was what?
2750.
Oh, so this could be $5,500?
yeah,
Yeah,
but to Amy's point, if we don't get on, it's gonna be,
Well, and this provides a trail that continuity from Blake into trustees. Is that our
it's
justification
from
here?
Strawberry Hill into Hale and trustees. Let's see if I can.
But do you access it by coming up Blake? Is that generally how it would be done, or
Um,
is this we just helping out the neighbors to make something look, prettier, or?
well, I think in.
oh no, it's a walking trail that a lot of
Right.
people use. If
Mhm,
you
mhm.
want me to share my screen, I can show you the roses.
Sure.
Is that multiflora rose?
Yeah,
Mhm.
and it's really, it's up to my shoulders.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it didn't look that way even 2 or 3 years ago.
I would even,
Yeah.
I would say 2 years ago, it didn't look like that.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think I can. So that's what the path looks like.
Didn't
Wow.
You
change.
can still get through the path, and now the path looks better because he mowed the path.
Oh,
But you
see,
can see
I
somebody's been mowing the path, but
yeah, the
nobody
picture
is
didn't, the
mowing
picture
the
didn't,
field.
the picture didn't change when you pulled that up for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And Amy, right,
I always forget that it doesn't do that.
Oh, it doesn't refresh it. Yeah.
That's,
oh,
Okay. Mhm.
so do you think Sarah Molyneux is doing that?
well, I think
Somebody's doing it.
Sarah or some of the neighbors might have, or maybe it's Steve Carlson, I don't know.
Mhm.
One of the neighbors, I think, has been mowing the path. Or maybe it's just because people are using the path a lot
Could be.
because.
No, it's gotta be, I mean,
So, okay, so Lori,
But
what's our
you can see all the multiflora rows
Right.
here,
So-
and Jim said these are some nice, like some kind of an olive tree or something, and
oh, down in
anyway.
the background there? Yeah.
yeah, so there's definitely some stuff in here that's worth.
Well, so I think I mean, we
Saving.
we can look at whether there's something we can do there. However, it requires a multi-year management plan in order to keep the multiflora from coming back. And is that
Right, but, I
the
mean, if we get it
$70,000, the $70,000 that they have, is that confined to basically helping the indigent, or we don't know?
They
Okay.
haven't used any of it for as long as I can tell from the handful of town reports I have on my desk.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
you'd think they'd have more money. Lori, do you know relative to our
Well, they
management?
probably have it in a 1% bank account.
Yeah, in our management fund that we have for land management this year, roughly what we have for balance?
For trail maintenance, showing a balance of 17,800, and we have 5,000 in the land management.
Okay.
So this
So,
would be trail maintenance because there's
Yeah.
a trail through
yeah,
there.
there's a
Right.
trail there. So, and is there any, I don't know if we have it on this.
There
Are
there
there
is
any?
parking and a lot of people do use it, so.
Yeah, no,
What do
I'm
you
just,
mean,
saying.
where's
So
the parking?
my question from there is, do we
At
have
the
other
entrance.
do we have other management things that we want to take care of this fiscal year? Lori, do you know, in terms of mowing or any other things?
Well, we don't do the entire field mowing until after August 15th, but I
Right.
know I've had people ask me about perimeter paths at a couple of places, which
And
is usually, in the past, has been done by Honeywell Farm.
Yeah, that's
You
good.
done the perimeter pass? I thought that highway did the
yeah, I
perimeter.
thought Highway had done that.
Craig used to do it for a few years, but that was a little while ago.
Well, maybe we can reintroduce that to DPW. But okay, so we clearly have enough to
We
do
have-
that and take
We
care of
have a
other
couple
things.
of bog
Yeah.
barges, but we haven't gotten them organized yet.
Right, right. So,
So I'm just thinking about Springdale. Like who does the perimeter for Springdale?
Last year, it was Honeywell Farms.
Okay,
and
Springdale,
did they come over to
Maine.
do specifically that?
No, he brings the machine over and
I think.
actually, I don't know if I'm thinking of the entire field at the
You're
end.
thinking the entire field.
I think I
Yeah.
am because he brings everything
think it
over
was-
around the same time.
I think
I
Park
was-
and Rec might do it when they're doing the skating pond area.
well, I mean,
Really?
Springdale,
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that.
Springdale Field was just done, and I don't know if that was Pat Keen or if that was
Oh, well, for the DLCT?
DLCT, but I'm thinking about for us over at Elizabeth Freeman's,
Right, to run a
Right.
trail.
which is
Yeah.
46 Springdale.
So that's the one Craig used to do for us over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think
So,
it's been done.
Did
I
we,
mean,
did we send, at one point, didn't we send them a PDF showing the trail location?
Every year I used to send him the map. Yep.
So
Wonder-
one year I know that the perimeter trail was mowed by
well, Steve, our
Right.
huntsman,
our
did-
huntsman did it when we used it for a pace, but
Mhm.
but they're doing the pace out of Medfield State
Mhm.
this in June, so that they won't be using it for the pace.
Can, well, Lori, can you check in with DPW to see if that's
Sure,
something they
I'm
could do?
happy to find out about getting that done. Do you want me to also check with anybody else or just see if
Exactly.
Kevin can do
I
it?
think, check with, what was it, Dodd, or what was his name for, up at, the lower price there for,
Dodsworth,
Dodsworth,
David
yeah,
Dodsworth.
For the perimeter paths too?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
And
I
then,
think it would be, because I'm worried that if we don't do anything about Springdale come fall, that's gonna be crazy. Like, we need to keep that as a path.
Mhm. Well,
We
but
have
come
to do
fall,
a perimeter
A
path
perimeter path,
on
right.
both 46 Springdale and Valley Farm.
right,
right.
exactly.
Mhm.
But we don't actually own the big piece of the Haven Street half of Valley Farm either, John, so.
Right, I think we're just gonna take it, we'll mow it for a few years and take it by eminent domain.
Well,
So,
it's part of what I've asked them to
right, yeah, so
give us.
I think
so.
I have no problem, because since we have done it before, at being able to point to that effect and, to try to spur that
Well,
along with the
And
selectmen.
I want to grab Larrabee too, so, because they've just ignored it for,
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's-
it would
the
would
only
be nice
reason
to-
it isn't full of trees is because we have nice
Because of
neighbors.
Sarah, basically.
With
Yeah,
Sarah.
yeah.
Exactly.
So
and Kay.
okay, so I have no problem. I think we should vote on hiring Dodsworth to declare the Larrabee lot. So I'll entertain a motion for that.
Sure, so moved.
Second,
Okay. All in favor? Amy,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Sarah?
aye.
And I'm an aye as well.
Oh, I'm still here. Aye.
Oh, there you are.
Sorry.
Yeah. No
Sorry,
face?
my camera was being weird, the lighting, so I just turned it off.
That's
Oh,
fine.
okay. Well, we miss you. And so that's an aye from Christie as well, I take it. Okay, then and then Laurie will contact DPW as well as a fallback Dodsworth to get a price out of them for that. And those, we've never had a schedule in terms of should we do those paths once a month, or what are people's thoughts on that?
I don't think they need it to be done once a month. I think that if you do them like about now, they're probably good. I don't know.
Till
I guess-
Because
September.
I just have it, I have
And
an image, I have an image of by Elizabeth's. That stuff on the left as you go in, because there's such a high water table there that everything grows pretty quickly. And so I
I
just
don't know. I
assumed-
mean, we had a drought last year, so who knows?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
None of
and I-
my fields didn't grow.
No, I just
after
feel like
it
if you do a spring cutting and then a fall cutting, like you're fine.
Mhm, for the
But I
path.
mean, I could be wrong. I mean, I could, but.
Well, we'll just,
I just-
we can easily.
Well,
we
in the
can
fall, we
easily-
do the full thing.
Right,
Right,
so we
right.
can easily monitor it, but I think a spring cutting for the pathway is appropriate, and we've done it historically. So Lori will get back to us and let us know who's gonna do it. Or
Okay.
just make a decision, if we don't have to pay for it, if DPW's, just go ahead and give them permission. Okay, then let's see.
I have
Oh,
one
then,
comment. I'm sorry.
well, I still had
So it's, okay,
on that,
go ahead.
or,
no, just,
okay. I
Just-
just want to finish up the discussion points there relative to easements, I guess.
oh, sorry. Yes.
Amy?
Oh, so there's an easement, that I emailed you about that's on Village Hill Road that, just dead ends at the Little's
right.
property
Yeah.
line.
Mhm.
And the couple that, own the property are starting to get their ducks in order to downsize, and so they wanted to find out, they went to planning board and asked if they could release the easement, if they could get the easement released, because it's
Mhm.
never been accepted at town meetings, so planning board is the one that can release them from it.
Mhm.
And Carol Lisbon felt that because it is a property right that the town owns, that there should be a process for polling other boards about whether or not this should happen. It should be at least the process that a chapter 61 goes through to try and determine what the value of the easement is and whether or not it is something that we want to release. And so as part of that was to do, with the chapter 61s, we also always do a site visit. So
Mhm.
that was part of it. And part of it was that I wanted to in order to understand whether that easement is valuable, is also understanding if there is anything that it connects to, even if that's a private
Mhm.
path, if it's actually a path, there
Mhm.
is some chance in the future that it might actually open up and be an easement. The other question is, even if it did open up, would it be useful to either the neighborhood or the Littles or your neighborhood to be
Mhm.
able to go through to the Village Hill Road neighborhood or vice versa? So, there obviously easements became very important during COVID, and one never knows when other paths are gonna become inaccessible, and therefore easements are important, like we saw on Ben Arthur. So
Mhm.
anyway, we wanted to make sure that you got home from your vacation so that you could facilitate a neighborhood or
Oh, I
so that
see.
you could
Okay.
participate at least in a
Mhm.
neighborhood, in the site visit, and maybe involve the Littles
Mhm.
so
So,
that we could,
yeah.
so that we could get their opinion on whether they thought the easement was a good thing or a bad thing, or.
So on, and I think I mentioned I had emailed while I was away, that my sense is, but I haven't spoken to Stephen Little yet, that he's more than happy to deal with things on an informal basis. And,
Right.
but I also, so these people just took it upon themselves, they want to extinguish something, just because they don't want to cloud on that particular portion of their lot, is my guess. Okay. And I don't see a reason why the town should, since that was part of the subdivision.
No, except that, we don't like, we need to be nice to our townspeople.
Well, they're gonna be former townspeople pretty soon, but,
I agree. And, when it was brought up at open space, basically people said, I don't see why we'd give up any rights that we have. for
yeah,
any
I
easement.
think because it's, sort of, I don't know if it's done the same
So I
way. as
kind
the
of
Arthur
agree,
was.
but,
Yeah.
I'm trying to be,
Do you,
I'm
do you
trying
have
to
a
be
plan?
neutral.
Do you have a plan of that, that you could email me? Of
Yes.
that easement? Could you, if you can do that, please? And just for everyone else to know, so Stephen Little has a lovely piece of land that's contiguous, with and I left the meadow open behind my house, and we have people come up from Pine Street when they're going over to trustee land to Noannet. This would actually give people who come out of Village Hill the ability, because if they're going to go over to trustee land, they'll just walk down Walpole Street and go to trustee land. But it gives them the ability to go back towards Pine Street, go up Forest Road, and then go across there's some trails in there that would give them access to Wildwood, as well as we own a lot in there that then takes you out to Center Street. So my feeling on that is,
Right, and I don't
would-
know what those Pine Street to Wildwood trails look like, so.
there, I
I
walked
would
there.
love to, I would
No,
love
I
to
mean,
look at
I would love to walk them,
No,
so
they're
maybe
pretty
we
good.
could part that all as part of this.
Yeah,
site.
they're
Yeah,
be
they are
awesome.
they're pretty well trod, so that there's nothing growing up on them.
I'm sure they're well trod, I just don't even know where they are.
Right,
either.
right.
And that's why I'm like,
Anyway, so I'll look into that. I'll be, if you send me that plan, that'd be helpful.
Yep,
Um,
and we need to work with Carol to set up the site visit. And at a time that you're now back in the country, so
mhm.
we should set
Okay.
up the site visit.
And yeah, so if you could interface with her, that would be great.
Okay.
And we can line that up. Let's see, I think, oh, and then Sarah, you had
no,
something you
the
wanted to
only
bring
thing that I was gonna bring up was, so with full disclosure, my brother lives on Claybrook Road. And he had heard some rumblings from his neighbor about this construction of the project that we've been dealing with. And he had heard that the construction
project?
project, I guess
The
is,
repair of Claybrook.
no, not the repair, but the house I
on
guess it's-
Riverside or Claybrook?
on Claybrook.
Mhm.
What house?
So he had heard that the construction had stopped because they had run out of money.
Is this lot 3 or which?
Yes,
which?
lot 3.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm.
So basically, my brother and I see each other every week to go visit my mother, who's 93. Anyway, he, when I go pick him up, I'm like, I see the non-project of the the road project, but then I look over and I look
Mhm.
over at, and when I saw him 2 weeks ago, he said, I heard through my neighbor that lot number 3 has stopped. And I said, really? And he said, yes. He said, I had heard that they have run out of money, and so now what's gonna happen? And I was like, well, I mean, it's not our problem, but at the same time, I'm just bringing it forward to you
Okay.
guys. I don't know if
Well,
that's.
let me turn over to Janet. Had some interaction within probably the last month. Didn't they have a crew in there cutting trees and things of that nature?
So that was like over a month ago. They were putting the septic system in. That was over a month,
Okay.
and taking some trees down outside the buffer. We are getting their monthly progress reports, and
So it just might be my brother's neighbor who's complaining about the progress is not really happening as fast as they want it to.
that's true. I think that
Because this has been a long project.
And that the house though is pretty well built, isn't it, Janet?
the exterior is, I think they're just starting the interior.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Okay, all
Okay,
right.
so that
So
is, yeah.
again, I don't mean to bring up a, poke the ant hill, but it was just,
No, so we've been getting the reports, and they have recently done some trees because we had some neighbors asking us whether that was permitted.
oh yeah, no, that was, I
Yeah.
also got that too.
Yeah,
Via,
so that seems to be, okay, then I think,
never mind.
I think that covers that end. I think we're now on to the quick updates from Janet.
Okay, we covered 1 and 2, 3. Number 3 is the draft minor modification criteria that you had seen a couple times previously. At the last meeting, John asked me to send a copy of other towns that have something similar. So I did send this out to you on the 20th. And I included Ashland's policy, which is what I based our draft policy on, pretty much almost identical. It's a little stricter in some places.
So I guess my question on that, and I didn't have a chance to click on the Ashland link, was some examples of minor modifications that we've encountered over the last year or 6 months that would be subject to something like this. Would this be like, somebody moving a propane tank, or what's an example of a minor modification?
I think when we last talked about this, the example I gave was a recent one at 2 Raleigh Road, where they wanted to expand the driveway. They were putting in a retaining wall, and then they were doing some additional work.
And did
And
that come to us as an amendment, or what?
that
How?
came to us as a minor modification, which was the impetus for me to think, oh, it's a hard call for me to make. But if we had some criteria that the commission had approved, then it would be much easier for someone to say, okay, it's clear this falls under the minor modification, or so I think it's in everyone's best interest to have some kind of guidelines, so that we can make that decision when there's a minor modification and when is it an amendment. DEP favors an amendment for pretty much any change, just because now you have something on the record. Also, neighbors are then notified of any changes, and you have a little more leverage with an amendment. But I think, on the other hand, there are a lot of things that are minor, and we don't need to make someone go through the whole amendment process, but we need more information than what we're getting now. Like sometimes I feel like I'm pulling teeth to get enough information to even say, is this minor or major?
So, and which something like this would be, I would think, as a progress report, if something comes up, we would want them to note that, and then say, upon review, we would like to do X, Y, Z. That would at least give us our first tip off. But I think it bears, if everyone could just review this And because there's clearly a wide fuzzy line for this in terms of not wanting to be overly bureaucratic. Somebody adds 20 feet onto a deck or something, not 20 linear feet, but 20 square feet. Or things of that nature, and try to see if we can come up with something that makes a clearer delineation, even though it's still going to stay somewhat fuzzy. And whether it's a percentage of project that gets changed or something. But as I said, I didn't have a chance to read the Ashland one, and I will take it upon myself to do so prior to the next meeting. And if everyone else could do that.
I think that the main issue here is it really does need to be case by case. Where is the modification? How close is it to the wetland? And what are the site conditions? But at least having an outline of the information we need to make a determination. I think that in itself is useful.
When I was imagining that we would have we would create a form for the inside of the folder that would note any amendments or minor modifications, so that somebody could quickly review that, if they go back historically on that. And that way we can cover even minor stuff there. So I personally, I know I haven't looked into it as much as I'd like. My concern is really, which then ties into certain things as to whether the consulting agent would have the permission to allow certain things that are truly minor to move forward. But why don't I'll review this and try to come up with examples from the last year of things that might fit on one side or the other of this line here. Let's see. Next, we're looking at number 4.
Yeah, so this is just follow up on 2 letters that we discussed at the last meeting. So 105 Haven Street, I believe that letter went out. Is that right, Lori? To the owners, that was for dumping on town land and in the buffer.
Yes, a letter went out to 105 Haven.
Is 105 that the White House with the peaked roof that sort of sits in the middle of things?
Yeah, the chateau.
Okay, yeah.
So that went out 5/18, and the owners are in Connecticut. So I haven't heard back yet. I got the certified receipt back from the post office, but not the green card yet. And I haven't heard back from them yet.
Okay. And then 3 Sterling, we just got that update. No, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. 24 Donnelly. So I followed that from afar. So that was Anna and Janet involved in that. Got exciting. So where does that stand?
So 24 Donnelly, the owner actually came into the office and talked to me about, he explained to me everything that was in the email about how he contacted someone in Dover, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And they told him, sure, go ahead, take the trees down. So he's following up with us and said that, he just wanted some guidance on how to submit the after the fact RDA that was recommended by Janet.
And was this discussed at the meeting I wasn't at, or?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
it was.
So is this?
So I told him I'd email him some information on where to find everything, and then he could call me if he needed, help getting that together. I don't expect to have it by tomorrow because he came in yesterday. So.
Okay. And
But
let's see.
And so just a couple of additional things. After our discussion, Stephen Bates was on our meeting, our last meeting, where we were talking about some dumping concerns, especially at 105 Haven. He sent me the sign that DLCT uses for for no dumping where they have chronic problems. And so
Mhm.
that just might be something we would think about in the future.
Mhm.
And then I got a request to remove 2 trees that are healthy in the buffer zone for installation of a solar panel on a roof. And I have not come across this before. So I don't know how the commission feels about that. You've given me permission to approve 3 tree removals for
Mhm.
trees that are hazard trees or in decline or are dead. But I have not approved any healthy trees for any
Mhm.
reason.
And is within the buffer, are there quite a few other trees?
I have not been out to the property yet.
Okay.
To get feedback.
Mhm.
They're in his yard area. But the fact that they're healthy trees,
Mhm.
I didn't know what the commission's position might be on that.
I mean, my sense is we're looking at the classic ecological balance of, less carbon, production, and I think we would, want to encourage solar stuff. And I've encountered when I've had to build things where we've actually bought trees from neighbors in order to open up things like that, but they weren't in wetlands. If you, what's the address?
It's on Trout Brook. I don't have that in front
Oh,
of me.
well, yeah, generally there are plenty of trees there. I don't have, I don't have a problem with you being the judge if it's less than, in almost any lot, taking 3 trees down, whether they're healthy or not, is not going to affect things significantly. But I think having you have the ability to make that call for something like solar, and I would hope that where we would lean towards the yes on that but that's my feeling. I don't. Anyone else want to step in on that?
Yeah, I would agree.
Mhm.
More balancing the good.
Mhm. Mhm.
Although I will say the carbon footprint equation usually favors saving a tree rather than a smaller solar array.
Interesting.
Um,
I'm not so sure it works with a mature tree versus a young tree that's growing.
Yeah.
I think there's more carbon capture in a younger tree. But go ahead, Anna.
We ask them to plant a single younger tree
Well,
that within our jurisdiction.
That's kind of where I was going, even if it were ornamental or if it was some other location, I think that's a fair thing.
I'm agreeing with John and Tim and Anna. So
Mhm. And again, Janet, I think in particular areas like Trout Brook has scads and scads of trees. I would be more concerned if it was, if that was going to be the final thing that denudes something. But then if that were the case, they'd probably be able to put the solar cells up somewhere else. So-
Isn't the point here more that they didn't ask permission? I mean,
Well, they haven't taken it down? Have they taken them down?
No, they haven't taken them down yet.
No. So they are asking
So
permission.
that's the other one.
that's the
So
other
I
one,
think-
sorry.
Yeah, so
Lost
and
the beat
that
there.
way, number one, I think they get kudos and points for asking permission. And I think we can be reasonable and flexible, and it still comes under our 3-tree jurisdiction, even though they're not sick, but I think that it gives a reasonable alternative there. Do you feel comfortable with that, Janet?
Yes, yep.
Okay, okay.
Seems like a good-
Great. Anything else?
Let's see, the last thing I did send out some information, the Red Robin project is moving ahead quite quickly.
So
And
faster than lot 3.
Yeah.
No,
absolutely. I mean, it really is amazing. It's
yeah. Mhm.
and there was just a small Tetra Tech sent us information on a small change. There's an additional 4-inch drain pipe at the bottom of the retaining wall. They're going to ask them to put in some riprap. Nothing's draining from it at this point, but it will at some point. The question is that a minor enough approval that does not have to come before the commission?
And I think it's, so this is the, basically a pressure relief drain, so that if any water were
Yes.
to build up behind the wall, these things virtually never really drain much with any velocity, if they drain at all. So I don't see a problem. I'm fine with that as being an okay situation. I'm kind of surprised that it wasn't in there in the first place. So
Okay, very good.
I mean, I'm fine with it. I mean, when I saw the email yesterday,
mhm.
so.
And normally those walls have some drainage since it's a preformed block wall. Is that right?
No, I don't think so. I think it was made on, it's a stone wall, retaining wall on site.
Yeah, they made it on site.
Oh, really? So really?
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's like 12 feet high. It's made out of stone. I thought it was a like a
So John,
textured
did you ever see the site? Like, it was like, anyway.
Yeah, no, I haven't. I'll swing by there and take a look at. Normally, when you're building any sort of wall like that, that's that's backfilled behind it, you have weep holes built along it at different heights to keep pressure from forming. Whereas with certain engineered walls that might have a like a half-inch setback each course, they have some relief built into the joints there. So I'll
I
stop by
I
at
have no
some point.
idea what he did, but like, there was nothing when we walked the property, there was nothing. It was just like,
Oh, yeah, no, I understood the plans and I knew what they were doing, and I had I was aware of the height and everything. So I just didn't recall what it was that they were building it out of. So I'll swing by and take a look at it, but this type of thing is virtually never really drains, and it never drains with any velocity. It's just it gives some relief to the pressure that would be pushing against a unfilled side of a wall. So I
should
think it's
we
fine.
then not vote for it? Or is it just like is it a backup?
I think it's really it's a very, very minor amount. I think it would be one of those things where we could put it on a sheet on the folder saying on such and such a date it was approved to they made a change to increase pressure relief piping on along the base of the wall.
Okay.
So I think that's fine.
Yeah, that's a good idea to have some kind of tracking form.
Yeah, but then it's also it's really not a visible thing. So
I mean, it seems like it's going into the back of the property, like toward
it does. Well, it actually goes along parallel to the wall, inside the wall. And then it will, if any of this water pressure ever were to build up, it just gives it a relief, but it trickles out. It doesn't catch water that gushes out.
Okay.
But what it does is it keeps it from building up behind the wall and then causing the wall to lean.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, so I hate when that happens. So okay, and that wraps us up for the evening. Does anyone else have anything that they want to bring up? Well, I miss you guys terribly.
I know.
And
Well,
although I did hear
it's sad that the governor said that we're not going to get together till like 2025.
I
So-
saw that. Yeah. So I had this imagining, even something came up and I think I was talking to Lori, and I just had this imagining of people presenting plans on a table somewhere and realized that I had nothing to do with reality. Also, we don't even have a table anymore. They
they've
took
taken
over all
everything
that
away.
space. Yeah.
Or
so-
Anna, like we used to have like this whole boardroom with people would come with a what was it called?
Easel and
The
a-
easel, and they'd have to
stand.
put them, and then we'd be like, we can't see the easel, we can't see the designs.
and now somebody just clicks and zooms in on it and we can see it. Well,
But
great.
I would propose, John, sometime this summer to have all of us over to my house for like a summer barbecue. Just to have all this, I've never met Anna in person. and-
I'm on some of the walks.
Yeah.
Comes to most of my walks.
Yeah.
No, I would love to have everyone to my house for a like barbecue fun time. Sometime this summer. And I know
Well, that would-
summer
Thank you,
times
that's
gets,
very, very
summer-
generous.
well, I know people get busy and blah, 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 but I will, with Lori, we can do a Google, or Doodle, whatever it's called, date
Doodle.
thing. And we can figure out some dates and we can have
Mhm.
people here.
Oh, that'd be
Um,
super. No, I appreciate that. That'd be great. I've
And we
thought of
do
it
for-
for my house, but there's always some little thing of maintenance that I haven't gotten around to. For an old house. So, anyway, great. I think that would be super. So, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
And,
yeah.
anything else? Well, hearing no objection, the meeting is adjourned. Okay, thanks, everyone.
Okay, guys.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.